Welcome to this tutorial. My name is Ian and I will be taking you through the tutorial. So far in our Excel Copilot tutorials, we've seen that we can do sorting and filtering, we can do highlighting. In this tutorial, we're going to look at some analyze features. Now we've got a table of data, we've got a lot of sales data. We're going to be seeing how we can ask questions of that data to summarize it. So often you want to aggregate your data into tables or maybe into graphs. So we're going to be looking at some of those features. So please remember also to like and subscribe to the channel, keep up to date with all our latest tutorials. But let's jump into the tutorial. I will see you there. Welcome to this tutorial. In this tutorial, we're going to continue looking at the features of our Excel Copilot. So far we've already done a couple of tutorials, we've looked at some of the features. So if you haven't had a chance to watch those tutorials, please go back and see what some of the features are that we've already covered. Okay, if you haven't though, basically what you need first off is you need a table of data. So we've got a table of some sales data here. Also you'll see that your Copilot, now if your Copilot is grayed out, it probably means that you don't have the license. So please just look into the licensing requirements. There's two different licensing requirements. One is that you can have a pro license, that's for the individual, or you can have an enterprise license. Okay, but if it's not grayed out and you've got access to it and you've got your license, you just click on Copilot, and basically it gives us four main areas that we can work with. And you'll see that it shows us that we can add our formula columns, highlight, sort, and filter. And in this tutorial, we're going to be looking at the Analyze feature. Click on Analyze, it's going to give us some ideas of the things that we can do. But you can see on the right that it said I can analyze data and show insights in charts and pivot tables. So basically it's going to use charts and pivot tables as a main method of being able to display its analysis. Okay, so let's kick off. Let's ask it a question. And the way that we ask it a question is we just go down to the bottom right corner and you just ask your question just in a simple format. So let's say we want to create a summary table. And if we look at the detailed data here, we've got a region. And we've got some sales and we've got some profits. And let's say we wanted to know what is the total sales and the total profit for each region. So let's say create a summary table and we want for each region. And we're going to say display total sales and total profit. Let's just spell that. There we go, total profit. Okay, so we'll submit that, and as you can see, it gets to work on it. Now, please note, during the tutorial, sometimes we might speed this part up. Sometimes Copilot can take a bit of time to answer the questions. Okay, so there we go. We've now got a result, and you can see what it's done is it's actually created a pivot table, and it shows me my total, each of my regions. Let's just go back up to that. It shows me each of the regions, each of the sum of sales, each of the sum of profits, for each of those regions. It also then does give me a summary here, and it tells me what the total sales and profit is for each of the regions. Now you will see that there is an option to add this to a new sheet. If I click on that, add to a new sheet, you'll see then that we've basically got a pivot table that has been added. Now if you're not familiar with pivot tables, we do have tutorials on pivot tables. They're incredibly powerful, really easy to be able to do analysis of your data. So really worth watching that. But that's basically what's happened here. Is that if we go back to our data, is that what Copilot has done, is basically created that pivot table. Let's go down, let's see if we can ask a different type of question. So let's say, for example, if we looked at each of the regions, let's say for our sales value, we wanted to know what is the total sales, but also the average sale value and the highest sale value. So let's see if we ask that question, if we can analyze it. So let's say we want to say create a summary table, and this time we're going to say actually a summary table, and we're going to say for each region, and then we're going to say that for each region create a summary, and then we want to say displaying, and we're going to say total sales, we want to say the average sale, and in this case the highest sale. So there we go, create a summary table for each region displaying the total sales, average sale, and high sale. Again, let's submit that and let the Copilot go to work on it. And there we go, we do actually get a result here, and you can see it's got my sales by region, got the sum of sales, the average of sale. Also, it will have the max of sale, because basically if it's looking for the highest sale value, it will be looking for the highest sales value in there. Again, if I wanted to, I could add this to a new sheet and you could have a look at it. I'll leave you to have a look at that though. So you can ask different types of questions with sort of analyzing. You can ask, what is my average? What is my highest? Also, let's say that you wanted to create a graph out of this. So again, looking at our region, let's continue with that. Let's say we wanted to create a column graph and we wanted to show for a region. But let's make it a little bit more interesting. Let's say we also want to just make it for one product category. Let's say the technology. So let's tell it we want to create a column graph and for total sales for each region. And in this case, we're going to say for product category, and we're going to say it's product category technology. Okay, so we're saying create a column graph for total sales for each region for the product category technology. Okay, let's submit that. And there we go again. We've now actually got a graph that is being created. Again, if you wanted to, you could add this into a new sheet to see the graph. Now, I'm not going to add this one into the sheet. We're going to create another graph, and that one I'll actually add into the sheet just so we can see actually how it's done and once it's created. But again, as you can see, it gives you a summary over here of what the total sales amounts are for each of the regions, and we've got the graph that we were looking for. Okay, so I do have another question that I wanted to ask, and let's say, for example, we wanted to use this order date now. So we want to get a little bit more sophisticated with this order date. Let's say we wanted to see if we can figure out what the year and months are. And let's say, again, we want to see the sales values, but we want to see the sales values in year and month. Let's also say that we want to create a line graph to display this information. So a little bit more going on here. And that's what you're going to find with Copilot is that as you start to get your questions, you sort of can start to combine them together, put filters in there, and add different nuances into it. So let's just say we want to create a line graph displaying the sales. And this time we're going to say by year and month. But we're going to tell it that we're going to use the order date. So we're going to say using the order date. Okay, so let's put order date in there. Okay, so we've got to create a line graph displaying the sales by year and month using the order date. Let's give that to it to work on. So there we go. We actually do have something that is generated. And in this case, what I'm going to do is I am going to add this one to the sheet. And let's have a look at what it's actually created. So what you can see is it's actually done is it's created a pivot table and it's got each of the years, each of the months, and each of the sales. And as you can see, the months are in chronological order, which is correct. And then it's basically taken that information and it's now created a graph from that information. So there we go. So if you wanted to, again, you could come into this, use your pivot table if you wanted to change anything on it, or you wanted to change anything on your graph. If you click on your graph, you can just go to your chart. You could change any of the label, the axes if you wanted to. So that's basically another example of just using the analyze. Now, one of the things that analyze did tell us right at the beginning that it could do. So one of the things was that it talked about being able to create insight. So let's just ask it a question and let's say if it can generate any insight, and let's say around the customer name and sales. Okay. So let's tell it to generate any insights around customer name and sales. And let's see what it does on that. So there we go. We actually are getting some insight here. So it's telling us that a specific customer actually has a noticeably higher amount of sales in total. It's then given us a bar graph to display that information. Again, we could add that to a sheet if we wanted to. And then it gives us a little bit of overview as well. And it tells us also who has the second highest sales. So as you can see with this, you could ask many types of different questions. Hopefully this is just giving you some examples of some of the things that you can do. We're going to conclude the tutorial there, but I hope to see you in the next one.